Shalom, Shalom, Kwam Yasha'Allah, Koholoim La Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Chahakudash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us His beautiful truth, and just want to take the water to all the H.I.M, Akhwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes and commandments of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is Yachana Nawah. It's coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit, and just driving, roughly paraphrasing scriptures. But I was in a news break app, and there was an article in there, and somebody mentioned something about so-called white people, and I responded, well, why do they call themselves white when they're actually pinkish to reddish in color? And that's the spirit. When I went when I actually Googled it, and then I went to images. Of course, this was the very first image that popped up saying, "Why am I red?" And it's not a color thing, when it comes to who the Hebrew Israelites are or who the Edomites are. The social construct of black and white comes from the people that's calling themselves white, but they're actually pinkish to reddish in color. Like this guy is pretty red right here, but he could be an Israelite. Could his great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather or whoever could go back to actually being an Israelite, or he could be an Elamite. He could be a Moabite, a so-called Chinese man. He could be an Ammonite. So see, when people, they see these looks and they see this color and they see just a distinct look of a person, and it's automatically put or said on them that they're just this. They see somebody with, little chinky eyes, because I seen a little chick the other day. It was I thought she was a Moabite, but her mother was so-called Chinese and her father was a so-called white man, but she looked like a so-called Chinese little girl because she picked up more of the features from her mother. So in the meanwhile, thinking like, what I'm saying? Okay, so this is this is Esau moving throughout the earth, planting his seed in the races of these other women, and those children are coming out, looking like the races of those other women, but they're actually Edomites. So you have a lot of so-called Chinese-looking Edomites or Japanese-looking Edomites out here. These people are Edomites. They're biblically they are Esau, Edom, Idumean in the Greek, and that's something that's very, very important that we have to, back to this, like a back to the basics type of lesson, but milk of the scriptures. But we have to be on point with that milk, because there's a lie that's moving throughout the earth, or has been moving throughout the earth, and it's the truth of the Hebrew Israelites. The men, the prophets of the Lord, going out on the highways and byways and breaking this down, by the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. There's this myth that, there's a white and black people, and it's not. It's not, man. You know what I'm saying? This dude right here, the scripture says that Esau came out red. You go into Genesis chapter 25. He didn't come out looking like a glass of milk, man. He didn't come out looking like the clouds in the sky. Look at this guy. He has whitish, hair in his beard, but his skin color is not the same color as his beard, so to speak. And that's very important to know, man, because the Lord is going to come and separate all the people, no matter what they look like. And there are a lot of Israelites out here that look exactly like this man. But he says, "Why am I red?" And basically the number one answer is, you're pretty much you're Cain. Biblically, you're Cain that came back as Esau in the reincarnation, and that mark that was placed on Cain was Cain losing his melanin. It wasn't like some damn cross in the middle of his forehead or some shit like that. You got a lot of deception when it comes to who's who out here, and mainly it's Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. He's the one that actually pushes these things because he's in control of the planet. This is his kingdom. So he has whitewashed a lot of images. He got people thinking that the Lord looks like, our Lord, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus, looks like somebody like this. You Google God, or the Father, and you'll see somebody pop up that look like this man right here. You know? And I've seen this one guy, this one racist Edomite, he was road raging this so-called black dude, and the black dude said, he kind of looked like this guy right here. He said, man, you look like a pink penis. And I was rolling, bro. You know, but yeah, man, you know, back to the basics. We have to really realize that the Lord created 18 nations of people, but within those 18 nations of people, everybody is blended and kind of look like everybody now. But according to Numbers chapter 1 verse 18, your family line goes through your father, because your father carries the seed. The children are already within the father. The woman has absolutely nothing to do with ethnicity. She's like ground. She's like earth, soil. The word husbandry goes off into pretty much a farmer or plowing. So when the man gets on top of his wife, he plows into her. He leaves seed within her. That seed comes forth in 9 months or so, and it is what he is, because it was always with him. That's why you'll see, you know, in the genealogies in the scriptures, you know, this man begot this man, this man begot this man, this man begot this man. Every now and then you'll see a woman's name if it's significant to a story, but overall is going into the genealogy of men. When you look at Matthew chapter 1, the genealogy of the Lord, Yahweh, which the word English calls Jesus, is through men. And that's how we know too as well that he was born of Joseph. He had a father, an earthly father. But these Edomites, they've also tricked the world into believing that, you know, the Lord came through this Virgin Mary. And they actually teach you that she's a continual virgin, when the Lord had actual brothers and sisters. It says in the scriptures that he had brothers and sisters, so obviously she wasn't this perpetual virgin. But these are things that the so-called white man teaches, man. These are stumbling blocks to our people. I was going into the comment board yesterday with some people, and you know, you kind of, you know, you just leave a little comment and keep it moving, because they're not going to get it. You know, they're so in tuned, or the Lord has really blinded them. That's really what it is. But you know, these people not understanding that the Father and Son are not the same. Here you go, you got all these scriptures where the Lord Yahweh, which the word English calls Jesus, is saying that his Father sent him, and then they'll still be like, oh, well, you know, there's one or two scriptures that they don't get. Me and the Father are one. They'll see stuff like that and be like, oh, see, he's God. And don't get it, man. You know what I'm saying? And then you try and explain it to them, they still don't get it. So it's really like you're wasting your time, you know, with these Christians. That's why the apostle was like, man, that's why he don't even talk with these Christians. And I don't blame them, because they're aggravating as hell. It's really very aggravating to actually kick it with these Christians on subjects, simple subjects. They don't get it. So that's how we know that we're living in the last days, because the real truth will go forth throughout the earth in the last days. Because you got billions of Christians. I was just I seen a lesson. Did I do a lesson on that? I didn't do a lesson on it. I just kind of scrolled over it. Damn it! Oh, Salakia. I didn't want that to go off the damn screen. I don't know how the damn phone. I'm doing a video on record, and the damn phone will just go off. Which I forgot the explained to me about a setting in the phone on that, but it's still stupid. If I'm recording a video, you think that it will actually stay on. But anyway, it was I think about 80 so-called Chinese people got caught up in China. You know, they got raided. They had a big ass raid too, as if these was terrorists. But they got raided in a secret church. They was, you know, trying to worship sweet white baby Jesus, a damn idol. You might as well worship your own idol and live your life. Eat that cat, rat, and dog that you eat. How you in your own land and you worshiping a so-called white guy as your savior? That shit is stupid as hell. See, because I get it with so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because with us, it was beaten into us. We were terrorized into believing in that image. But when it comes to these so-called Chinese, Japanese, you know, all these other different nations of people, like, why are you willingly, you let a so-called white man come in as a damn missionary, you know, with some bitches. That's like them people over in Africa. You know, they wasn't scared into believing in white Jesus. They just, you know, let them so-called white people come in over there talking about they want to help. Look at us, we have medicines. We're the modern people. You need us. And through sweet white baby Jesus, you can be saved. And they just be over there taking advantage of those people. You know? The Lord does not look like this guy right here. If the Lord was walking the earth today, he would be a dark melanated man. It's really that simple, man. And it's starting to come out. But when I went into it, I seen somebody in Reddit. They was like, well, my skin is pink. Why do they call me white? Because they're different shades of red. It's people out here that's more darker red than this guy right here. If you see my record button up at the top of the phone, it's people out here that red. It's people out here that actually look like fucking brake lights on a car. Literally. That's Esau, man. Red as cherries. Red as apples, man. Red as tomatoes. But then at the same time too, you got some Edomites. You got it's people that look like us that are very, very dark. They look like, you know what I'm saying? You know, Wesley Snipes or somebody, or, you know, whoever you can think of that's the darkest person on the planet as far as Negroes in America. You got so-called white people that look like that. And see, we say so-called because they're not actually white, and there's no such thing as black people. Those are social constructs that came up in the 1680s, where they started calling themselves white. And at that particular time, they were losing their women, and just like they're losing their women now. And the elder Malcolm, he goes into that, you know, where Esau, the so-called white woman, was dealing with the so-called black man, Hispanic, Native American men, so-called back in the days, that the so-called white man, he had to come up with a law. He came up with a law where he oppressed those so-called white women if they dare dealt with a so-called black, because they wasn't dealing with them. And when you look at these Edomites, you know what I'm saying? Like, say for instance, you see this Edomite right here. You know, you're a typical Edomite, but you know, he would be considered to be one of their handsome men. He got the blue eyes and all that bullshit, right? He ain't got no damn game. You know, his woman will look all over him to get to a so-called black dude. And that's what's really going on in the world. See, and it's always been that way. All the women, these women have always gravitated towards Jake, man. And you got a lot of these so-called Chinese women, you know, they don't really deal like that real tough, but they want to, and they're actually engaging in that as well, though, because you know, all these women are engaging in relationships with Jake. Maybe not in China, but hell, even in China, I'm sure some Chinese, so-called Chinese women over there dealing with Jake. Even though, you know, they, you know, all these nations have a real perpetual hatred towards us, you know what I'm saying? But still, and a lot of the reason is because, you know, I seen, a matter of fact, the Elder Malcolm out of Chicago, GMS, he was showing a video the other day. Where, and a guy was on the streets, he was asking so-called white men, so-called white women, which would you rather have, basically, so-called white man or so-called black man? And the women was choosing so-called black man. And the one dude, actually, the one chick, he was like, well, why? The so-called white chick, she came straight out of her mouth, straight bold as hell. She was like, they're hung like a horse. And there, you know, she was going up into, you know, but really, you know, these Edomite women, they're freaks, man, and they want something really hitting them, man. They want some real ride. You go out here, you know, Esau with the Vienna sausage, man. You know what I'm saying? He's not, you know. And probably one of the worst things that Esau probably ever done was give you Edomites that nasty ass interracial porn where Jake is in them porn videos, you know, with them Pringle cans knocking them women down, and they just fucking infatuated. But overall, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can clearly see, look at this dude. He's red. He's not white. You know? They got the recessive genes, some damn eyeballs, you know. But see, this is their world, this is their kingdom. So they're looked at as being the standard beauty of the earth, and they're not. These genes are recessive. These are not genes to want to have. You know what I'm saying? Here you go, you out in the sun trying to get a damn tan. I was just seeing they had you know, these sun tanning salons and shit, talking about how that's fucking their asses up, but they still go because they want to have that color, man. They want to have that color. They want to look like Jake. Like, see, these are red people, man. These are not, you know what I'm saying? They're not white. That's a social construct, and you can look that up. I would if I wasn't driving right now, but you can look up, is black and white as ethnicities a social construct? And it's going to give you the history on it. It's going to tell you exactly, yes. This is what Esau has been pushing throughout the earth, man. He's been pushing this thing, you know, that he's white and he's pure, you know, and that you Jakes are impure. You know what I'm saying? Because you're black. You're dusty. So, you know what I'm saying? You know, you can clearly see here, like, look at this dude here, or look at this chick right here. She's not a bad looking chick, you know, Jake could fuck with her. But those are recessive genes. And they try and get those tans, but hey, that shit don't be, you know, it ain't gonna help you. Because the Lord is gonna, like I said, he's gonna come through and he's gonna do the separation. He's gonna separate everybody. He's gonna, you know what I'm saying? Because see, like, even with these pictures right here, with these so-called black women right here, you know, you got people out here that look like that, and they're actually Edomites. Like, you got Tracy Ellis Ross. She's a so-called white woman. She's an Edomite, but though she looks like us because she picked up on a little bit of her mother's color, Diana Ross. But anyway, you get the point, or you should, or hopefully you do. Some people don't, you know. What the hell are they doing, man? Maybe I gotta come out of here. I guess it's not popping like that. So I'm gonna end out there. You know, I'm at the plantation trying to chop something up. So with that, shalom, shalom.